As we approach the Tucson Osteopathic Medical Foundation's 40th anniversary, we reflect on our rich osteopathic heritage, highlight our achievements, and celebrate the promising future of osteopathic medicine.
In this first installment, we'll talk about Tucson General Hospital. It not only elevated the practice of osteopathy in southern Arizona, but it also cemented its place in the hearts of the community. Although Arizona was progressive in its acceptance of osteopathic doctors, the profession still faced a stigma. Tucson's DOs weren't allowed staff privileges at any hospitals, and there was nowhere to care for their sickest patients.
12 pioneering DOs acquired a struggling maternity hospital on East Grant Road. That is where Tucson General Hospital, Tucson's first and only community osteopathic hospital, was born.
Most of the rooms were equipped and furnished with items left over from the maternity hospital. With the exception of a used operating table, all the surgical items were donated. The wives of the founders sewed the linens, the dressing gowns, and curtains.
In a 1991 interview, Dr. Purcell recalled a story from 1949. Dr. Carthentown's idea was that the two things we needed to compete with the big medical hospitals was to put out good food and to be like a family. He said the best place to get a cook was the Midwest, so he hired a housewife from Ohio. Boy, could she cook. It got to be that so many doctors were going there for breakfast that they had to put a restriction on eating there.
By 1954, the hospital was bursting at the seams. Several parcels of land were purchased as potential sites for the new hospital. There was no consensus, and each opportunity was fraught with controversy.
Dr. Odom recalled his role in the selection of the new site. A patient of mine owned a ranch, and he wanted to sell it to us for $110,000. We talked him down to $85,000. He agreed to take the equity we had in the other properties as the down payment. After arguing back and forth, each doctor wrote a check for $2,000 and we bought it.
Dr. Purcell remembered.
We got out there in our old clothes and dug through the wall and built the operating rooms.
Dr. Fontanova also pitched in.
We did that construction with our own hands with the help of some former patients who were bricklayers and plumbers.
A Water Follies performance was sponsored as a fundraiser at the rodeo grounds. The musical stage and water review was a hit.
The new hospital officially opened just about 2 miles northwest of the original on December 5th of 1954. Sybil Henderson was a nurse at Tucson General for over 30 years. She remembers,
"The new hospital was so close to the university agriculture farm that the cows would come up and stick their heads in the windows.
Soon, a new $600,000 modern facility would rise on 17 acres adjacent to the hospital.
Patient rooms featured individual air conditioning controls and an oxygen supply outlet at each bed. The north wing and a separate 2-story kitchen and dietary building were added in the early 1960s.
John Wayne was admitted to Tucson General after choking on a piece of steak. The doctor caring for him asked, "How long has your voice been hoarse?" He answered in his slow, gravelly voice, "All my goddamn life."
His visit created quite the commotion. All the patients lined the halls hoping to catch a glimpse of a movie star. Between 1960 and 1970, 63 interns and 75 new DOs were attracted to the modern hospital and Tucson's amazing climate. The 1960s were fondly remembered as the rise of Tucson General due to the rapid growth of the osteopathic community as well as the hospital itself.
Despite the ongoing expansions, in 1968, the hospital experienced severe overcrowding. Tucson General closed out the decade with a $3 million addition, raising the number of beds from 156 to 277. With new services, new buildings, and new doctors, Tucson General had come a long way from its humble beginnings. But its story doesn't end there.
Join us next time as we explore Tucson General Hospital's pivotal role in addiction medicine and turbulent times in the healthcare industry in the 1970s and 80s.
Until then, this is Tucson Osteopathic Medical Foundation, honoring the past and celebrating the future.